Okay, so today is March 21st, 2022. My name is Daphne, and we're at Copeland Heritage Center, and I will be interviewing Jeanette Tan. Hello, Jeanette.
Hi, Daphne. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. So, could you tell us your name, age, or date of birth?
Janet Tan. I was born May 15, 1970.
And
Oh, I'm age 51.
and what was your place of birth?
I was born in Malaysia, in West Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur.
Oh, cool. And what do you know about your family surname? So Tan in this case.
Tan is a very common name in Malaysia. So you'll see a lot of Tans in Malaysia. Tan is pretty much the same as in the Cantonese heritage in like Hong Kong, where the last name is Chan. They're very similar. All I know is I don't know a lot about my history because my mom was adopted, and all I know is her background is she's Hakka, and then my dad is Hokkien. We're Chinese Malaysians. So originally, I think my ancestors came from China. They moved to Malaysia, and that's where I was born.
Okay, thank you for that. Actually, my mom's surname is also Tan.
Oh,
So
you're from Southeast Asia then?
No, we're from mainland China, but I guess it's also like a common Chinese.
That's interesting.
surname.
Yeah.
So like when I saw your name, I was like, oh, Tan.
Same last name.
Same last name. Okay, so I guess we already covered it a little bit, but do you have any like stories about your parents, grandparents, or more distant relatives?
My mom normally tells us a lot of stories when she was alive, and some of the stories have stuck to me. I remember going to my grandparents' house. I'm very close with my mom's side. I don't have a lot of recollections of my dad's family. I remember going to my grandmother and my grandfather's place, and we would go. In the olden days, they would have outdoor theaters, and you know those Chinese acrobatic shows where they dress up in all like with the feather hats and the bright red white makeup, and we would all these chairs would be there, and my grandmother and I would go there and watch every night after dinner. So that was really very memorable for me. That's the most as I can remember of my maternal grandmother. My mom was born during World War II, so and that's why she was adopted. Because from what I hear from her, is that a lot of parents, in order to help their children survive, because they know they probably won't make it through the war, they pass on their kids to their relatives or friends to take care of the kids. And I think my mom was one of them. So my maternal grandmother and maternal grandfather are not her biological parents. So, and it's funny because her brother was the same situation. But we think that my uncle is related to my grandfather in some ways. In terms of my mom, I don't know anything about her background. And when I visited Malaysia many years ago when my grandfather was still alive, I did ask him this question, but everything was just hush hush. Like they didn't want to tell me who her real biological parents were, which was disappointing because I really wanted to know who, and she wanted to know as well. But in the end, we don't know. So that was it. Yeah, like um, my mom always thought she was born February 29th, 1939. But when she died, we realized it wasn't a leap year. So it was either 1940 or I think, what is that, leap year every 3 years? Yeah, or 30 something. But so on her grave right now, it's actually stated as February 29th, 1940. So even her birth, we don't even know how old. So I did ask my uncle, and he thinks that maybe February 29th, 1939 is a lunar calendar, but I haven't looked into that. Yeah, so everything kind of ends right there. And when I went back to Malaysia, I did try to look into in terms of my own heritage and my own culture and my ancestors, but I didn't get very far. It was really weird because all my relatives were all hush hush about it. Nobody wanted to say anything about her parents. Yeah.
That's very interesting. I wonder if February 29th like means something in like your culture. Like maybe
Yeah.
it's like a lucky birthday
I
or
don't
something
know.
because it's like like a rare date.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was really sad because like she was telling me stories about when the Japanese invasion into Malaysia and all these people that died, and um, she was literally there hiding in the bushes, like you know how when you
Yeah.
read history books, and she would tell me that you would hide in the bushes. Parents would literally kill their infants because they would cover their mouth,
yeah,
asphyxiating them, because if they cry the whole village would die, right, because everybody would be found out. So a lot of parents sacrificed their own kids because they were in hiding, and the scarcity of food. Um, you know, if you spilled a grain of rice, you're going to pick it up because that's all you have. Living on just rice and soy sauce and whatever you could find. Yeah, it was very hard times back then. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
So on a lighter note, was there any like recipes that have been passed down to you from your family?
Verbally.
Verbally.
This is my biggest regret, is not getting my mom to keep a recipe book. I remember when I was young, I used to watch her cook all the time, and my mom was a great cook. She, you know, every birthday dinner, every party, you know, family and friends would ask her to cater, like, you know, her version of catering. She would make her traditional Malaysian recipes, and which we can't get. You know, the big buns, the big steam
Yes.
buns. She would know how to make it. My mom didn't have a lot of education. You know, they were still in the olden days. They were still in that whole idea of the male goes out to be the breadwinner, and the females, they don't need education. So I think my mom only had an education of a grade 2 or grade 3 level, comparable to the Western society. So she didn't know how to read, she didn't know how to write, she only know spoken language. But she did speak Mandarin, and she spoke Cantonese, and we ended up speaking Cantonese because my dad didn't speak Mandarin, so we all kind of adjusted to Cantonese. But anyways, yeah, she learned a lot by just standing there and watching people, and they would teach her what to do, and she picked it up really quickly. Same with cooking, going back to cooking, and that's how she learned how to cook. And eventually, like you know, she would watch something on TV, and she would just make her own version of it. So we were very lucky. Growing up, we hardly ever went out to eat because my mom kind of did everything, and she made good food. Yeah.
My family is the same.
Yeah. Oh, you're so lucky. Yeah. I tell my kids, you're not so lucky because I didn't pick up the cooking.
So you don't. So you can't cook your mom's recipe?
No, I wish I did. There were some, like when growing up, I remember her big buns, and I really loved eating it. Every time she made it, I would eat, like, it was kind of gross, but I eat like 3 or 4 of them when it comes out of the steamer. But I tried making it, and I just can't seem to get that same recipe. And she used to make these sponge cakes, you know, those steamed sponge cake that rises like, mine are always like this.
That happens.
I don't know what the secret is. Yeah. And she would make we grew up eating spicy food, and she makes lots of good spicy food for us. And yeah, so it was unfortunate she didn't leave a recipe book for us. It's all in my head. I know what it tastes like. I try to copy it and redo it myself. It just doesn't taste the same.
It's hard to create. Like,
it is. And I think a lot of it is we can't get the ingredients here.
Oh, true.
Back in when I was young, my uncle used to, or my grandfather used to send us by mail all the ingredients that were needed to cook real, authentic Malaysian food. But now I think a lot of it, you can't cross the border with it, so they can't mail it here. Yeah.
So when you talk about when you were young, did you grow up in Malaysia or like in Canada?
That's a good question. I grew up here. I came here when I was 6. My parents thought that it was a better future for us as kids to move to Canada. And it was funny because my recollection of moving here, I was really scared because that time I was 6 and I had no idea what Canada was like, only in my mind and from what people have told us. And back when, you know, not a lot of Malaysians travel out of the country. So In my mind, I always picture all Canadians to be Eskimos. All ice, all snow, wearing these little furry hoodies, right? And I was really scared when I came here. I was like, oh my gosh, we would have to do all this. And I remember coming here and going to the airport. Um, and my mom didn't know any English, and we didn't know any English. Um, and we, it was funny because we were lucky to have met all these friendly people. And this guy, my mom was lost because our flight got delayed and she didn't know what to do. And so this guy helped us to tell us where to go and what time and whatnot. And he was nice enough to buy us hot dogs.
Oh.
We've never had hot dogs before ever in our life. So when it was so sad because we didn't know what they were. We didn't like the taste and we threw them all out
Oh, no.
because we didn't know what hot dog was. And the sad thing was all our luggage got stolen, and my mom didn't know what to do. So we came to Canada without any clothes, nothing. So because I remember her saying that this one lady, she was Asian as well, and she kept bullying my mom to say these are my luggage, and then so she just took them all. And so that was sad. Coming here and then we had no clothes. So, but yeah,
And when you first came to Canada, did you settle in like which city?
we came to Vancouver.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember when we first came to Canada, we lived on Knight Street,
Mhm.
Knight and 20 or 40 something Avenue. I can't remember. It was near the, I went to Tecumseh Elementary School. I still remember my first teacher there. She was really nice, and I remember going to school. I was really scared because I didn't know how to speak English, and we went to ESL. That time they had separate ESL classes, so they would pull me out of the class, and I would do an hour or two, whatever, learning English. I never really got bullied, and I just had really good memories of going there in I think grade one. And then to this day, I still remember my first best friend. Her name is Helen. But then
Shout out to Helen.
I don't know where she is now. Because later on I moved to Burnaby. I was in Vancouver for about a year or two, and then we moved up to North Burnaby, and that's where I grew up.
Are you still living in Burnaby?
I'm still living in North Burnaby. So I went to Lockdale Community School, and then I went to Burnaby North Secondary, and from there I went to SFU and then UBC. You too? Oh my gosh, we have similar backgrounds.
SFU alumni.
Oh, me too. I love SFU, by the way. Yeah, and then I moved to Calgary for 12 years after that, and then came back in 2013.
So let's move on to the business
Yes.
questions. So could you describe your business to us? The name, location, the service you provide, and what kind of merchandise you
Mhm.
sell?
That's when we came back as a family, came back to BC from Calgary in 2013. We saw a business for sale because my husband wanted always to own a produce store. I don't know why, but anyways, that's his dream. So we decided to own a produce store. We know nothing about owning a produce store because he's always been in the small restaurant business, and I've always been a social worker. I've never done any kind of restaurant food industry. So we were brave enough to come, and we drove up Austin and took a look at the store, and it was very cute. It was very small, and we really liked the community. We kind of drove around, and we really liked some of the buildings and whatnot in it, and so that's how we started. We bought over this business. The original owners called it Blue Mountain Farm Market. So we decided to change it to Blue Mountain Produce. And the address is 1041B Ridgeway Avenue in Coquitlam. And since last year, we expanded next door. So now we're 1041B and C. So we took over Rosemary's Treasures because they closed last year. And so now we have 2 units there. And what we sell, when we first started, we only sold produce. That's it. Produce, meaning fruits and vegetables. And we want to really focus on that. our idea behind the produce store was to offer um, competitive pricing for fresh produce for the community. And our philosophy in business has always, we're not here just to sell you products. We want to be part of the community, and we want to really help out the community and be part of them, not just as, oh yeah, I'm going to go buy my carrots there. We try really hard to know who is our customers and who shops from us and who our community is. It was funny because when we first started, it was just my husband and I, and that was it. And I remember the first week we had like, I don't know, probably not more than 50 customers. But, and we worked hard, and then we started hiring one staff. Then we ended up hiring more and more staff because we got more and more busier. And when then we would get requests from customers, oh, you should carry these things, and then if it makes sense, we would expand our collection. So then we started selling more on the grocery side as well. And so now you see that one side of our store is mainly produce, and then the other side is mainly dry goods. And we've also expanded to a little bit of frozen meat and dim sum and some of the bakery items. We've always been a big supporter of local business. Um, we want to try to carry products that are locally made and locally produced, right? So hence the bakery. Um, we bring some of the bakery items because we don't bake ourselves, so to sell at our stores. So a lot of our customers are by foot. Um, Even though we have expanded our customer base to a lot of by cars, and some of the customers come all the way from Westminster and sometimes North Van. They come once in a while when they go see their doctor, and they still remember us. So it's really nice to see their face again. I would say, I don't know about my husband, but myself, I know most of my customers by first name. And I'm proud of that because I try really hard to get to know who my customers are. And, and it's funny because then they start chatting with you, they get to know you and you get to know them. And it's kind of like a small family. That's how I see my business. It's like a small family. People tell me their family stuff, and we share, and that's the best part about this business. I remember one of your questions. One of the best parts
like
is
most about the
yeah, it's the customers, and I think that's what makes me get up in the morning, early in the morning, and stay till like 10 at night, pretty much every night, just running this business, and 7 days a week, and I think one of the downfalls is balance in my life. I don't have a lot of balance right now. I haven't had a lot of balance in the last 10 years or so. And the unfortunate thing is I don't get to spend a lot of time with my kids. When my kids were born in Calgary, I chose not to work and I chose to homeschool them. And I never regretted that choice because the bonding with my kids was how you say, very memorable and priceless. So to this day, my kids are very close to us, and yeah. But now, they're older, they're teenagers, yeah, and I'm at the store all the time. I don't find a lot of time I get to spend with my kids, which I would love to.
Do you get your children to help out in the store?
Yes, originally I had my kids helping out, my older kids. So my daughter would do cash, and my sons would do stock the best that they can. But I stopped asking them to help out during school because they're too busy with their school and their activities. So that's when I hired more staff. Yeah.
And when they do help out, do you like pay them?
I do. Yeah, I do pay them. Yeah, I know. So I wanted to treat them as a real employee. The reason being is, eventually they're going to go into the workforce and they have to know what the workforce is like. So if I'm going to treat them as my child, they're not getting the reality, right? They're not getting the true picture of what it's like if they make mistakes. If they make mistakes or if they're late for work or whatnot, they have to learn all this. And I think the best way to teach them is in a home environment or in a family environment, right?
It's smart parenting.
I don't know if that's smart parenting. That's why the kids don't like going to work.
So going back to the business, you already talked about how like it made it more difficult for you to have a work-life balance. But like while running your business, what are some like challenges you faced, and how do you deal with these challenges?
The biggest challenge is our competitors. Being small as we are and being a small family-owned business, we don't have a lot of cash flow compared to some of the big box stores and even some of the bigger, smaller markets. I won't go into that because they have a lot of franchises and they have a lot of chains. But us is just one Blue Mountain Produce with just us. And so it has, to this day, especially with COVID and whatnot, cash flow has always been a problem. And now everything is so expensive. Our expenses have skyrocketed compared to the income. And competitors, we understand that there's always competition in business, but you try to be on top of your competitors and try to kind of think about, okay, where are we going to meet that niche, right? Okay, so and so market is offering this. We don't want to do exactly the same thing, because we've seen competitions like this in business happen in Vancouver, like on Victoria Drive. Businesses go out of business because they're always competing for the cheapest, lowest price to attract customers. And that's never been my philosophy in business, because I feel if I offer good service at a reasonable price, customers will be here and they will come. And that, I'm proud to say that has been the case. When one of the smaller markets opened down the road, we were concerned about it. We know that they're very popular, and we know that they're big enough that they can offer competitive prices, which we can't, because a lot of times they have their own farm or they buy directly from the farm, and we can't because we buy from wholesalers. And so we know pricing is not our strong point in competing with this particular market. And we pride ourselves in our customer service, getting to know our customers, what their needs are, meeting their needs, and to meet the price range as much as we can. And so far we have succeeded. I remember when this market opened, we lost a whole bunch of our customers. Oh, you know your regulars, right? And you don't see them for a while, then you're like, yeah, right? But it's funny because they opened in August, and then by September, I would say 90% of our customers came back to being our regular customers, because it was interesting when they give us the feedback. I mean, we don't ask them. We don't directly say, oh, why didn't you come here? Or, we will say something like, oh, I haven't seen you in a long time. How have you been? Right? And, they'll say, oh, yeah, we were at this market and it wasn't very good. So, I'm glad we're back. And so it was really nice to hear that from customers, and it's also really nice to think that we're doing something well and that we are serving our community the way we want it to. Yeah, so I'm proud to say that, because we put a lot of effort into really meeting the needs of our customers. And even though we don't offer a full line of stuff in our produce store, we have customers who, they'll buy at Safeway or they'll buy at Superstore, and then they'll save all the little produce stuff for us. So, which is really nice to see, right? Yeah.
So, do you know why your customers didn't like the other markets? Like, was it their like quality of like their produce, or like is it the service there?
Well, not every customer will tell me, and I don't ask, right? But from what I hear from some of the customers is, besides all their sale items, they're more expensive. It's mainly the customer service. Like, they'll tell us stuff like, oh, Superstore, horrible, you can't even find anything. Or a lot of our customers actually don't like big box stores, and that's why they come to our mom and pop store, right? But the other market, they'll go between. They'll still shop between me and them. But they will try to shop as much as they can at our store, and then if they can't find it at our store, then they go somewhere else. Yeah, but mainly it is customer service. That's what I hear. Yeah,
That's so interesting to know.
it is, right? And I really believe in treating my customers in how I wanted to be treated if I go and do my shopping elsewhere. I want, and I and we train our staff to be like that. Like all our staff, I hire my staff. I'm very particular who I hire. I don't hire you with because you have many years of cashier experience or whatnot. It has to fit with our principle of running our business. So, I'm not gonna hire some hotshot person who thinks they know everything and offer horrible customer service. Um, all our customers are it's very sad to see my staff go. Let's put it this way. And I'm very proud of my staff, and they're very friendly, they're very personable, and they're very hardworking, and try to get as knowledgeable as they can. Because the way I train my staff is try to know what you sell in here. Because if you don't know what you sell, then you can't help people when they come in, right? And it's funny because I love hiring high school students because they come in with no knowledge. And it's funny because I remember one particular staff came in and he didn't know any of his vegetables because he eats vegetables, don't get me wrong, but they're always served on the plate, so you never know what they are, right? They're all chopped up and whatnot. So when he first started working with us, he was a stock person and didn't know anything and didn't know like his romaine from his green leaf lettuce. And then when he left us at the end of grade 12 to go to university, he was eating so much salads, and it was great to see that, right? The influence that we had on the young people. Yeah.
And it's so good that you would hire high school students because
Yes.
a lot of the bigger stores don't do that because like lack of experience.
Yeah. Well, some do. Like I think
Yeah.
Superstore hires some, and then like Tim Hortons and whatnot. I always, my criteria for hiring people is you as a person, because knowledge, experience comes with the job, right? I don't, if you don't know anything about cash or whatnot, it comes with the job. You'll learn, but your personality, you've been like this for the last, I don't know, 15, 16 years. It's harder to change, right? So I only hire staff who are willing to learn, willing to work hard, and honest, and of course friendly. And those are my main criteria when I hire for staff. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing
Oh,
that
you're
with
welcome.
us. So can you tell us a bit more about your customers, like their age group, gender, etc.? And like, do you have a favorite customer or customers?
My customers, when I read that question, I was just thinking it was sad because when we started the store in 2013, we had a lot of elderly customers, and we served a lot of kind of like fixed income customers and also lower income blue collar kind of customers. But since then, our customer base has increased, right? To now we have a lot of families coming in and people with higher incomes and whatnot. But anyways, we've seen the sad part is we've seen customers pass away. When we haven't seen Dan for so many weeks, we get concerned because they're elderly, and we would hear stories from them. We used to have these a lot of old customers that come in and tell us stories about Millardville and how Millardville has changed when they grew up, and literally Coquitlam, how Coquitlam was all empty and it was just bare land. And I think my memory's not good. It's either railway or mine,
Yes.
not mine,
Yes.
wood farm.
Yeah, lumber mill.
Thank you, lumber mill. Yeah, the lumber mill, and how they used to work there, and how they would have to walk literally half an hour to school because there were no buses, there were no roads, and it was very interesting, the customers sharing stories like that with us about Coquitlam, because I haven't been in Coquitlam long enough to know about the history and the changes, and to hear that and about the French people here living in Millardville, and how there's very few French, like true French people in Millardville nowadays. And we have a few customers who have been here for centuries. I like to say.
Since the old days.
Yeah, and they would share with us their stories about the old days and the French people that live here and whatnot. It was really warming to hear stories and for them to share with us. And it's really sad when a lot of them have gone into care homes or passed away. But the happiness about our customers that I've seen their kids born. I mean, they didn't see them born, but when they were pregnant, and they bring them in as babies, and now their kids are like in their teens and almost in their teens, and a lot of them are like 7-8 years old, and I've seen their kids come in as a baby, and then now they're coming in and choosing their own produce, shopping with your mom or dad, and it's really warming to see that. And and I've seen our customers and the neighborhood sort of change over the time that we've been there. And now I see a lot of when we first started, our customer base were a lot of Filipinos and Western and French people, I'm guessing. And now we serve a lot of different cultures. Like we have a lot of Koreans come in, a lot of Asians. I remember being Asian myself. I don't think I have had any Asian customers for the first 5 years. And the Asian customers that come in, the Chinese customers, they're very westernized. So they would only buy things like broccoli, celery. So we would try to bring in Chinese vegetables, right? Like gai lan and baby bok choy and whatnot. They wouldn't sell because nobody knows what to do with those, right? Yeah. And then so over the years, and now we have a good, Asian customer base. And, I bring in things like pea tips and a lot of yao choy sam and even fugua, bitter melon, and all sorts of interesting products. And we educate our customers, right? Because we're on social media, and I try to do a lot of blog posts about sometimes putting in recipes, but if we're carrying a new product, we'll put in something like, oh, what do you do with bitter melon? Or what do you do with yao choy sam? What kind of vegetable is this? Is it good for you, right? Things like that. So we try to educate our customers and as much as possible, and get them to try it. And some of our customers are adventurous, and they'll try it and they get to love it, right? And some aren't. So that's okay. Yeah, we have a nice customer base now. We have Iranians, we have Italians, and of course local Western, community as well. Yeah.
And we'll make sure to link their social media, like in
Oh,
our
yes,
video, in our
please.
YouTube.
Yes, I haven't been posting in our social media in a while because I don't know what I did with Facebook, and I just totally messed it up. So I'm hoping to get. I hired a local customer who also does a lot of desktop and whatnot. So hopefully he can help me out, and he and his family helps me with the blog posts, and I really appreciate that. I pay for him, but his daughter, and sometimes I'll say, hey, I won't say her name. I have this new bubble tea kit. If you try this, and I'll give this to you for free if you try it, and just write a little story about it. And so I do that. I'm a really big supporter of local business and especially helping children, like young entrepreneurs. And I also, I forgot to say, I've expanded to a lot of crafters too, local crafters. So I sell the crochet tea, what do you call it? Not towels, but dish towels, I guess, to a lady who sells eco-friendly products. Yeah. I really like to me, business is you can, it's me helping you and you helping me, right? We're both, it's like a win-win situation. We're helping each other. Yeah.
So to build on that, tell us a bit more about your neighborhood, the neighborhood your business is running. And I know there's other businesses in the area, so Can you tell us a bit more about them? Like, do you shop at each
Oh,
other's
yeah.
business? Like, how well do you know about them? Are there
Mhm.
any stories?
When we took over the store, me and Ed's,
Mhm.
Golden Boot were their customers
Mhm.
already. So we kind of inherited
Mhm.
those customers. Me and Ed's and Golden Boot has been supporting us for as long as we've owned the store, and they've been great. So, you know, us and all the businesses around
Mhm.
in this area, I love supporting, and they support us as much as they can as well. So we have a lot of restaurant
Mhm.
customers as well. Like so, mainly Golden Boot and me and Ed's. We also do Mega Donair. They're all the way in Port Moody, but they come all the way to shop with us. I mean, they could literally buy things at Costco, or they do shop at Costco, but they, like I said, they save the produce part for us. I mean, it's really fabulous to see that, and word gets around. We also support each other with like Papa Leo, the pizza places. We have restaurants, little cafes, and also uh, I lost my train of thought here. Yeah, so when like in my family we have junk food day once a week, and so during my junk food day, my family and I would always support the local restaurants just to give back a little bit to the community. So, Fat Tuna restaurant, the Japanese restaurant, they're fabulous. And, all the pizza places, all the little restaurants around here. And uh, we go to the big stores as well. Yeah.
But it's always nice to see like local businesses supporting
We
each
always
other,
do.
helping each
Yeah.
other.
They save a little bit for us, and we also try to support as much as we can for them, right? I mean, going back to Mei Li restaurant, I'm not sure if you've been there, the Chinese restaurant just near our superstore. I started out as a customer, just because I wanted to support a local restaurant. And then we got talking, and we're like, oh, you make the best bakery stuff here. I would love to carry some of your products, right? So more people get to know your products, and so we do that. And then I also like to support, like going back to the local crafters. They were customers of ours, that kind of approached us and say, hey, I'm like, oh yeah, sure, right? And I have a local artist, a painter, and she does lovely paintings. And I said, Emily, your paintings would look lovely on my wall. I would buy them, put them on my wall. And so we came up with this idea that, she could just display her paintings on my wall and make it look beautiful, and also sell them.
What is her full name, if you can share it?
Emily Manning, and she has an Instagram. So if you guys get a chance, go look at her paintings. She paints a lot of local scenery, so things like Whistler, Barnet, Port Moody, all the local stuff. Yeah, Soul Cup is a great little bubble tea place, and then I pretty much know all the businesses here because I try when I can to support them, because I know they can, and they try when they can to support us, right? Like Reflections Bookstore, I love that place. Like I love all their staff, and their small businesses. They're so nice, and they're very personable, and they're very they have knowledge of what they sell. That goes back to where my principle of owning a business is that we're not just here to sell you something, right? We're here to be part of your community. And that's the sense I get from all the little businesses around here, which is nice because some of the businesses that I don't go to often are the ones where, you know, uh, the owners are silent, and all you see are just staff working there. Nothing wrong with the staff, but it's
less personal.
It's less personable, right? And it's nice to chat with the owner and get to know who they are and their, how this whole business started. And when you chat with them, you sense a passion, right? The passion that they have for the business that they do. And it's hard. Every owner you talk to, especially now, right? Financially is very hard. It's very draining. It's very physical, mentally tiring, because when you don't open, you don't make any money. There's no income. It's not like when you have a job, oh, you have holidays, you have sick days, oh, you get Friday and Saturday off, or, at least 2 days off. As a small business owner, when you chat with any of these people, it's like 7 days, what did we sign up for? Right? But I think, having said that, it's also very rewarding. And I think the rewarding part is, going back to what I was saying before, is the customers. When you see the customer and they are so happy with whatever they bought at your business, and they're so happy with you being there and them telling you, oh, Janet, thank goodness you guys are open. This is what happened in COVID. When COVID first hit, our customers, you were so scared that we were going to close. And they were so grateful. It brings tears to my eyes that they come up and they say, I'm so glad you guys stayed open, because we wouldn't know. Because a lot of our customers walk. They're not going to walk down to Superstore every day to get maybe a stick of celery or whatnot, but so that they can get produce, right? The little that they can get. I mean, they're not going to buy a lot. So they come in and pick up whatever they can, and they depend on us, right? So it was very heartwarming to hear customers being so honest and upfront with us to say that they're very grateful that we stayed open during the whole COVID lockdown. It was really hard to let you know. It was back to me and Daniel, 7 days a week, and stock was not coming in. Luckily, we were able to build a good relationship with our wholesalers, and they were able to get us what we can. And so we can offer what we can to our customers. I don't know. I diverged onto the whole COVID thing. Sorry.
But I would really like to expand on the pandemic conversation. So you said you stayed open during the entire lockdown. What made you?
We were very scared because at the beginning we didn't know what whole COVID was, right? And you hear all this stuff on the news, and I'm worried about my kids. And luckily, I was thinking, if COVID happened 10 years before, my kid was too small. I don't know how we would have handled it, because we would have had to been with my kids. But luckily, my kids were old enough, so they stayed home, and my kids took care of themselves, literally, because we couldn't be there. And so we were at the store first thing in the morning and closing every night. We didn't have any staff at that point. Like I said, getting stock was really hard, but luckily we were able to get stock. A lot of our staff, some of our staff quit because they didn't want to work during that time, and a lot of staff were concerned. So we gave an option to our staff. We said to them, we can lay you off, so at least you can apply for EI, and you can come back when you're feeling comfortable about this whole thing. And so pretty much we laid off all our staff because they just chose that they didn't want to work at that time. And so we had to make a decision. Are we able to survive with just the two of us? So we went for it. And oh my gosh, the amount of support we got, and we were so busy. Every day we were running off our feet from opening to closing because it was just so busy. I think it's partly because it was just the two of us, and partly because a lot of customers didn't feel comfortable going to the bigger stores, and so they came to our store and just bought what they wanted. It was hard. We didn't get any kind of government support because, according to the government, we were open. So if we're open, we didn't need any support. It would have been nice to get some support to hire someone who wants to work, but we didn't get any, but that's okay. We survived it, and and the important part is, we wanted to be there for our customers. And we even came up with a plan B, that if the government was to lock down everything, that we would kind of be still going to the store, but we would get phone service. Because, at that time we didn't set up any kind of internet or website or whatever for people to order. And so we would say, okay, Daniel and I would talk about it. Customers can call in, they can put an order, and we can place the orders out in the front, right? But luckily, the retailer or the grocery places were considered essential, so we didn't close down, and we just kept the business running. And so then eventually in June, most of our workers came back. Yeah. So that was a relief. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, how did the pandemic continue to affect your business? Because you talked about you expanded your business to the next unit, and was the pandemic one of the contributing factors?
It was, it was funny because, and maybe in this sense, I have to thank the pandemic because it made us busier than ever. And people who, we don't advertise besides social media, and a lot of our customers don't go on computers or surf the web or whatnot. And so the only way they hear about us is through word of mouth. And during the pandemic, we increased new customer base at least twofold. That was really shocking for us to see because we don't tell anybody that we're located here. And all these people come in and they say, we never knew your market existed. And then so they've become our customers since then, most of them. Yeah.
So would you say you were
So
able
it was,
to grow?
That's how we grew.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was unfortunate that Rosemary Treasure closed down. And I'm thinking the pandemic has probably played a part in it. I don't know. I'm just guessing here and assuming here. So then our landlord approached us and said, oh, Rosemary's just closing down. And he knew that we wanted to expand ever since we started our business there. Because when we first moved in, we realized our store was too small. And so when we got the opportunity, said, yeah, we'd like to expand. So then we kind of literally made a hole in the wall, and so that the customers can go back and forth inside. Yeah. What we didn't forecast was the prices going up. So just after we expanded and opened the other side, oh my gosh, all the prices started skyrocketing. And so it's been quite a challenge ever since we opened or expanded because of the increased prices for items and the lack of items, the lack of stock. Like it still is very hard to get some stock. I know that, like for example, some containers coming in from China, maybe they used to be $20,000 for a container, and now it's doubled or tripled. They can go anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 a container, and so there are some stock that we can't bring in anymore because some of the wholesalers are not bringing them in. They're just too expensive. I mean, if we normally sell, let's say, this bottled drink for, let's say, 98 cents, now this bottled drink is gonna, for us to buy it, is $1.50. Nobody's gonna buy this little bottled drink from 98 to like 250, right? So there are some changes that have negatively impacted us, and one of the main ones is the price increase. I think our expenses have tripled since we expanded, and it's not because of the expansion, but because I think this whole COVID thing, all the prices have gone up. And gas, now the war, which has put another challenge to us.
While I was preparing the questions and I wrote down what other major historical events that impacted your business in a significant way. I was not foreseeing this another war coming up, and I'm sure that has affected the pricing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And now in terms of what customers buy, they're not freely to buy things. They will get what they can here that they think is the best deal, and then they'll just shop elsewhere. And I totally understand. If I was a consumer, I'd do the same thing, right? But having said that, we do still have a very loyal customer base. Customers who don't mind spending maybe 10 cents more or 20 cents more and supporting us. So that it was, again, it goes back to the whole COVID thing. It's like we want to keep you open, Janet. That's what they tell me. And that's so heartwarming. And even to this day, I have some of my regular customers come in. They're like, "Are you okay?" And then I will be honest with them. I will tell them, "Yeah, hanging in there, surviving." And they look really concerned. They're like, "We want you to. We want you to be there. We want you to be here. We want you to stay open." And that is so heartwarming. And it's not just one customer telling us. It's all our regular customers. And I know they go out of their way to support us, not because we have the best produce in town, and definitely not because of the prices. Sometimes, I see Superstore has those awesome deals that you can't resist sometimes, right? But they
They
still
like you.
they
And
like
they
us.
want to keep you in the community.
Yeah, because they feel we're part of their community.
Mhm.
We're not just here, Blue Mountain Produce. We're not just here to buy celery from you, because we know who you are, and they know who we are. And so, yeah, I feel very warm when it comes to talking about that, because I feel like I'm accepted, right, as part of the community. Not just someone here to make a profit from selling celery, for instance, right? But that we do truly care about our customers. We do. Yeah.
That's so good to know.
We have theft in our store all the time, and like I tell my customers that if only these people would come up to me and say, "I'm hungry," I'll give the food to you. I won't charge you, but don't steal from us, because you impact everybody, right? I remember one time we caught this woman. We finally caught her because she kept stealing from us, and we have not caught her. Finally, I caught her, and I told my Daniel, and another customer said, "Yeah, she didn't pay for those." So Daniel came out and he goes, "If you want these, you need to work for it, right? Because all these other customers are paying, so you need to work for it." So we made her dump our garbage, and then she was able to go away with whatever she stole or she wanted. I think that's fair, right? And I hope that it teaches them that, I don't know, I hope it kind of teaches them something. I don't know if it did or not, but I hope she took, by doing that, she went away with some kind of, not guilt, but growth.
Maybe?
Yeah, like, what she's doing is not right. Because we tell her everybody has to work.
For sure.
You can't just take things for free because you have no money. Everybody's struggling in their own way, right? And yeah.
Do you know if she had no money, or like some people would steal even if
yeah.
they have money?
I don't know if she has no money, and I don't know her history. There's still, I think it's better now, but there's still a lot of drug issues in our area, and yeah. So.
And this question is not on the list, but if you're comfortable with answering, just because we're talking about the COVID-19 pandemic, and as we know maybe too well that in the beginning of the pandemic there was a huge increase in like anti-Asian violence and like racism. So did you yourself?
I didn't experience. Oh yeah, I didn't answer your question about the COVID. Like, I didn't experience any of the negativity that other customers tell me, like, who work in retail. I think throughout the whole COVID, we only had really one major incident, and that's it. And that incident was when it was masks. People didn't want to wear masks, and I can't remember, but this was doing to masks. Anyways, it was something to do with one guy. He was standing in line because we had to limit the amount of people, and during that whole COVID thing, we didn't expand yet, so we only had room for 3 customers at a time in our store, and so people would have to wait outside. And I think there was something going on between these 2 guys that were outside, that started outside, and so the guy in the front muttered something under his breath, and he came into the store. He was a regular customer. And the other guy didn't like it and rushed into the store and just pushed him. And so he fell where we had our eggs and whatnot, and almost knocked over my other customer in there. And that was the main incident that happened. And that wasn't pleasant, but it has nothing to do with race. I didn't experience, and none of my staff that came back in June or Daniel experienced anything of that. It was really weird. We hear stories about what's going on, and but all we got were concerned customers.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm living in a fairy tale land, but we didn't. Honestly, we didn't. We had a lot of concerned customers. All our customers had no issues with the mask. Those who didn't wear a mask, we politely asked them, and they're willing to put on a mask. And yeah, but we have a lot of customers who work in retail. They'll say, or restaurants, and they're saying, oh, the customers are so bad. And I had one lady, who would literally cry because it was just so bad. And we didn't experience any of the negativity that went on outside. We felt like we were living in a little bubble.
Oh, so would you say you felt safe in the community?
Yeah, definitely.
That's very fortunate.
It is, right? And I don't think that was happening too often, but we never experienced it. That goes back to us loving our community, and I think, how we became part of the community. Because I think if we weren't, maybe we wouldn't have been so fortunate. Not sure. Yeah.
You never know that. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because I've heard stories from my friends about the racism that was happening with the whole COVID thing, and I'm wondering if it's mainly in Vancouver. I don't go out to Vancouver too often because of my friends that I hear stories from, they're all living in Vancouver. I'm wondering. I'm not sure.
I had some experience in Richmond.
Oh, Richmond too, right? Yeah.
So going back to the business questions, what is your favorite merchandise in the shop?
My favorite merchandise, it has to be the bakery stuff that I've added. I've always been a bakery fan. But I have a lot of favorites. And I think my favorite merchandise has always been produce, to be honest. Because my whole philosophy has to be encouraging people to eat more healthy and affordable. We wanted to offer affordable food for people that are healthy. Oh yeah, it goes back. That's how we created our salad packs and our bean salads and all sorts of things. Because what we realized, people were on the go and they didn't have time to make dinner. So what we wanted to do is for those people who didn't have time, who's coming in after work, they can grab a salad pack from us and add whatever they want. At least they're getting their vegetables. So I think the produce section has to be one of my main focus. I don't know, favorite has to be bakery. I love all the breads, but I think the produce, because I still want to encourage customers to eat more vegetables, right, and fruits.
And can you tell us any specific recommendation?
Avocados, don't be afraid of avocados. I know some people are allergic, unfortunately, but avocados are great, and they're nutritious. Bananas is the other one. It's a package by itself. It has full of nutrition, potassium, and it's easy to eat on the go, right? Those are fruits, and then apples. I remember when we first carried our apples, they were from the Okanagan. We knew they were more expensive, but we knew that a lot of people love apples, myself included, and they're full of nutrition. They're full of fiber, and they're great for hunger, right? If you're hungry and instead of grabbing for a bag of chips or a chocolate bar, grab an apple or a banana, right? Our apples from Okanagan, when we first carried them, I think we were one of the few stores that carried them around this town. And so customers deliberately come here for the apples because they're not waxed. When you go to a store, when you buy that fancy apple, fancy grated apple, they wax them. And so, eating too much wax is not good because our bodies can't digest it, right? So unwaxed apples, they're from the Okanagan, they're local, and they're fabulous. The apples are, you can taste the difference between their apples. So apples, I don't have a favorite. Watermelon is another one. It's full pack of nutrition, and so I'm guessing all the fruits and vegetables. My favorite, I guess, would be I love purple yam or Japanese yam,
Me too.
packed with nutrition. I remember going to university. That was my breakfast, and I would see all my fellow students eating a muffin with their coffee, and here I am with my yam. Weird,
Do you
but
steam or boil it?
yeah, I boil it. This is something I wanted to work for the store. I want to get one of those little small yam roasters.
Oh yeah, I know those. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want to find out if you know where to get them. I would love to get one.
I see them at H Mart and
H Mart, right? I would love to get one for the store and to add that to my inventory to sell. Because I think that's great because we have a lot of yam lovers and sweet potato lovers. But Japanese yam or Korean yam, sweet potato, is so different than the North American. I find the North American yam and sweet potato taste nice and they're very similar tasting. They're not much different. But when you go and eat like a Hawaii yam or a Japanese yam, the flavor is intense, right? So, yeah, that
there we go.
there we go. You got to try some if you haven't tried it.
Japanese yam.
Japanese yam.
Blue Mountain. Okay. So before this interview, I did a little bit sleuthing on the internet, and I searched your social media, and I see you. Either you have a dog or your family has
My
a
dog,
dog.
yes.
And do you bring your pet into the store? Do you allow other people?
No. I did ask. I did ask the health inspector, and she said no. Once in a while, if my dog is not well or my kid, and then the kids are not home, I'll bring them and he'll stay at the back. But we can't bring them into the store. I do let them in.
If it's going to get you into trouble, we won't.
It's okay. It's okay. Like some customers will bring their dog, usually dog, not a cat. I've seen the lady bring, is it a rat? On her back. Like, I think as long as they're holding them, I'm okay. But I have a elderly customer, they're elderly and she only buys a little bit of stuff. So when I see that there's nobody in the store, I'll just let her in and she'll just leave. And yeah, unofficially, there are very few customers who will bring. Normally the dogs will be tied outside. Yes, I'm a big pet fan. So, yeah.
But it's good to know that there's a place for people to leave their pets.
Oh yes,
safely
yeah, yeah.
outside.
So we have, you saw the stands outside, so they'll tie their pets out there. And on hot days, we'll offer them water and whatnot. Yeah.
Sure. Nice. Like one of our last questions. Do you host any events at your shop?
Not often. We host things like a special, like customer appreciation day, or at Christmas we'll usually do some kind of customer appreciation. What did we do last Christmas? We always try to do something like 12 days of Christmas, but we don't tell the customers about that because just in case, right? We don't keep up with it. But we do try to do the 12 days of Christmas where each day we put a couple items like super special price. Some things that we've held are like the raw kale chip guy. We used to carry the raw kale chip guy. We'll bring them back again this summer. He's a local. He does a lot of local farmers markets, and he does a lot of good. Like they're raw kale chips because they're baked in the oven at a certain temperature that it's still considered raw. They're all organic and they're locally made, and they're seasoned with none of the preservatives and whatnot, right? And they're vegan. So he has the dips that are vegan as well that he makes himself. So he'll host like an event. So he'll be outside and do a taste test for people. And yeah, I don't normally, but I would love to, just because of the time.
Yeah.
I wish I had more
Mhm.
time. I would plan all this stuff, but I just don't have the time to do it. Yeah.
So is there any upcoming events you
Um,
would like to tell
Probably
us
from
about?
the raw kale guy
Mhm.
chip. I'll probably have him back when the weather is better,
Mhm.
that he can be outside. And I I'm working on launching my store online. We got it half done. We haven't. Uh, we're not completely running yet. So once that's up and running, we'll probably do something there. Yeah, online shopping. So the one of the
So keep your eyes peeled for
yeah
the upcoming
one of the
events.
reasons I wanted to do online shopping was one of my dear customers. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, yeah. Take your time.
Excuse me. Passed away in January. Oh, sorry.
Do you need a tissue?
No, I'm okay. I just need to calm down. Okay, she was one of our early customers when we first started the store, and I got to know her as a friend. Her health deteriorated to the point where she couldn't walk anymore and she couldn't come to the store anymore. I won't go into details. And so that got me thinking, all the old people in our area, and we would brainstorm about this, and who can't make it to the store, and who can't buy a lot of stuff, right? So I was like, oh well, and they can order online or maybe call us, and so that got me thinking. I started delivering to her because she used to live right behind the store, and so that's how the online shopping began. Because she was able to access the computer, and she would always ask, "Oh, Janet, what's your special today? What's your special today?" And I would have to text her and whatnot. And so I was like, okay, wouldn't it be easier if you can just shop on your own? And so that's how I got some funding, and I was able to get someone to help me with putting all the products, and I got my son to help me take pictures and everything. So everything's been done. It's just the last phase of it is actually activating it and getting a program to run the online store. Um, yeah, so originally it was so that she could order online, and she would e-transfer me the money, and she wouldn't even have to come out, and I would just deliver the produce for her. And because I know of a couple of people that would benefit from them too. And I used to deliver to another lady who lives in Burnaby, and she couldn't make it to the store, but she would really support us, right? So yeah, that's how it got started. But unfortunately, her health deteriorated, and yeah, she passed away in January. And but I still want to go ahead with this, and because I'm sure other customers would benefit from it as well. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. This is what I mean when it's really sad. Uh, Customers that we've served and that's become very close to us, that's left us.
Could you share her first name with us?
Oh,
we all
her name
know
is Jackie,
Jackie.
and many people know her in this community. She's lived in the community for many years, and she's a wonderful, big-hearted lady. I remember because she's on when her. I don't want to go into details because I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know how much her family wants this to be on film, but when financially, she is on a budget, but she would always support us, and she would be our biggest ambassador for the store. She would be telling everybody about us, and yeah, bless her heart.
She sounds like a wonderful lady.
She's a very wonderful lady. You talk to anybody who knows her, yeah, she's a wonderful lady.
Yeah, and to connect this. Thank you, first of all, for the wonderful
sorry.
story. Yeah, I know I got a bit emotional
Yeah,
as well. But to connect to local history, because we are a heritage center,
mhm.
and there was a time in like since the early 1900s to like the 50s, the 1950s, MacLeodville only had 3 to 4 like general produce store or grocery stores, and they would all deliver. Back in the day,
Yeah.
everybody delivered, and because as you said, there wasn't any buses or like public transportation from door to door, so the people would like send their orders to the store, and the store owner or like their employees or their children would deliver the goods from door to door on a horse wagon.
Oh,
And
right.
in winter they would do that on a sleigh, because there's like so much snow. So yeah, I just think it's a very nice detail to see how like our modes of like running business may have changed, but this spirit of like serving your community, this communal spirit has continued to live on.
And I think that's why people come back to our store, because they feel a sense of our sincerity when we run our business, and to this day I still do that. If I can, I'll deliver it to the customers, and Daniel as well. Like even to the restaurants, if they can't come and pick up, we'll deliver it, right? If we can. But if we can't, then unfortunately we can't, right? Because we're still a mom and pop store, and we really only have one staff at a time. Like if we have that one cashier, that's it. And so, but so many of our customers have touched our hearts, and we don't mind giving back to the community. And even with our rewards program, we have a little rewards program now. It used to be so hokey, our rewards program, but like a little coupon that, and most customers forget to bring it. But it's funny because most customers won't even use it. They're like, no, I'm not going to use it. And I say, well, that's just our little give back to the community for you guys. It's not a lot, right? But now we have, a better rewards program, and that's our way of saying thanks to the community for supporting us, to going out of your way and shopping here at Blue Mountain Produce. And you don't have to. There's so many stores around us. There's Superstore. There's Safeway. There's No Frills. There's Costco, right? You can do all your shopping there. But these people, they come back to us, and we really treasure our relationship with our customers. And it's funny because not only is it now their parents shopping here, now their kids are shopping here because their parents have told them. And it was funny because one of our staff that used to work with us, and her dad, her brother works here. Now she's in university, but her dad would say, "Yeah, I have to shop here, or Brenda would kill us." It was so funny when I hear comments because she's a big supporter of local businesses, and it's great hearing stories like that. It's so warm, and that's why we stay. I think if we were to run a business as a business, I don't think we would have survived. In terms that customers wouldn't come and we wouldn't care, right? The business is not doing well, we'll just close down. Yeah, we're surviving. We're not making $1 million here like some of the bigger businesses, but the reason we stay, even though times are hard right now, is that we still want to serve our community. Yeah.
So you've been running your business in Coquitlam since 2013, 14, and it's been almost 10 years now.
It has, amazing, years. Right?
And so how would you say, like, how has the community changed, or like how has the city changed, or what stayed the same?
The sad part is I think eventually our building will come down. I think my gut is probably 7 years, 5 to 7 years, because the whole Austin, I'm not sure if you guys heard, they're revamping the whole Austin area right there, Blue Mountain area. So slowly it's just going to be all high rises, low rises, and eventually they're going to take down our Ridgeway, and there'll be new shops. and I think sad, but my guess is we probably can't afford to run a business there anymore, if they rebuild, because the rent will probably skyrocket, right? Yeah, and with our budget and how we run our business and our prices and whatnot, we probably can't survive unless we increase our cash flow or increase our prices, which we don't want to if we don't have to. And from when we started to now, we've seen a lot of changes, especially in the community. Like I said, there were a lot more older generation people here, which have all gone. Most of them. I think every year we see fewer and fewer older people. Like my friend, like she was in her 80s. So we're seeing a lot of people in their 80s just leaving us just this year alone. And but a lot of new faces as well. They're building the two towers at either end of Safeway, so we're gonna probably see a lot of younger families, younger couples. There's probably going to be a change statistically in terms of age and salary, or what do you call it, income range. So there will probably be a lot of changes, and in terms of our produce, probably not much change, because I'm glad people will eat the same produce or similar produce, each and every week. But in terms of the community, we already seen the changes. Like, we're seeing a lot of people move out further into Maple Ridge. A lot of our customers have moved out into Maple Ridge, Chilliwack, Abbotsford, and even further. I think we had a couple of customers move to Vernon. So there's a lot of customers that we've lost through moves, and and there's a lot of new customers coming in as well.
So that concludes the end of our questions. Do you have any conclusion remark that you would like to say to the audience that's tuning into the video?
Well, thanks for listening, and I hope my story encourages people to remember their history, because history does play an important part in all our lives, regardless if it was 19th century or 20th century. But people to be more, more humanity. I was hoping that with COVID, it would bring people together, but with the whole racism thing and whatnot, and now war, it hasn't really shown. But I hope people hang in there, and that there are people out there who care and don't give up. And but just to thank all our customers and all the people in the community who supported us and continue to support us, and we'll do our best to be there for you guys, and offer you fresh produce. That sounds kind of cliche, but yeah, we're very happy to be in this community, and we hope we're able to spend at least a few more years here and serving the community and getting to know the community. And
thank you so much, Anna,
and thank you for you guys
interview.
for giving me this opportunity to be a voice in the community.
Okay, and we are so honored to have you.
Oh, thank you. That's too kind. Bye.